Hello, and welcome back to Zenin Fanfics. Today we're starting part 2 of an exciting new series, What If Deku Had CatNap Quirk? If you enjoy this video, please like and subscribe for more content. The story we're featuring is written by Dog Day, 2006 on Wattpad. You can find all the relevant links in the description, so be sure to check out the author's profile and say hello. Now let's dive into the story. Reporter POV as we fly above a fiery scene in our helicopter. Okay, can you hear me in the studio? I'm reporting to you live from the skies over Hosu City. It's unclear what is happening below, but take a look. Large clouds of smoke and fire are rising from different locations in the area. Is this due to a series of accidents? Or have villains taken the streets? Currently, we have no info on the situation here, but our station will continue reporting as this breaking story unfolds. I say, before the cameraman stops recording, don't you dare stop filming. Wait, what in the world? Look, I say, confused at what I'm seeing. At what? The cameraman says, check out the building with the water tower on top. Zoom in. I say, as the cameraman zooms in on two people, Shigaraki and Kirishima. These people. Two of them. CM says, bystanders. How do they get up there? I say, confused. Shigaraki POV as I look through my binoculars, seeing all my nomas being killed or captured before I decay, the binoculars in anger. We're leaving. I say, annoyed. Are you satisfied with the results? Tamura Shigaraki. Kirojiri says, turning into a portal behind me. Depends on tomorrow's headlines, moron. I say, watching through the portal. Aizu POV at a hospital. Did you sleep? To-do asks. No. I say, annoyed that I have to stay in the hospital when I don't need to, but also thinking about the fight last night. I figured. Me neither. To-do says, thinking about that fight now, we did good for our first face-to-face villain fight by ourselves. After everything that happened back there, it feels like a miracle we're still alive. I lost my goddamn leg for a minute, making me useless in the fight. I say, even more annoyed. Don't talk like that. You weren't useless. You landed one of the finishing blows, and I'm impressed by you, Iida. He was actually trying to kill you, but you stood tall. To-do says, looking at Iida. That's not true. Iida says before the door opens showing Pro Hero Manual and Gran Torino, my white pupils go out as I heighten my senses ready for him to kick me. I'm not going to attack the boy, but it seems you're all awake. GT says, walking up as my white pupils come back lowering my guard. But still, boy, I could yell at you for hours right now. But before I do, you've got a visitor. The Hosu Chief of Police, Kenji Tsurigami. GT says, my cat-like senses start going haywire and my body is out of control, but I try to hold back the urge to run. We all stand up, but, no, please, stay seated, woof. Kenji says, as I jolt by the sudden woof, but Kenji brushes off the reaction. So, you're the UA students who brought down the hero killer, huh? Kenji says, we are. To-do says, the police chief came all this way. Why? To-do thought to himself, Stain has some serious injuries. Several burns, several broken bones, and a small concussion. Right now, he's in the hospital under strict guard, woof. Here's a lesson you should have already learned. When quirks became the norm, the police force sought to maintain the status quo. They decided we wouldn't use quirks as weapons. That's when heroes came in. They could do what we couldn't, if they were licensed, of course, woof. It would be impossible for the police to condone the use of deadly quirks. After all, we're here to stop sucking harm from being done. The only reason pros can use their powers now is because of a strict code of ethics that the early heroes chose to abide by. That's why it's against the law for uncertified people to use their quirks to cause injury. Whether you were up against the hero killer or not, none of you had the authority to harm the villain. That means the three of you and your supervisors, Endeavor, Manual, and Gran Torino, should receive harsh punishment for this gross abuse of your powers. Kenji says, my eyes widened before To-do spoke up. Now wait a minute. If Iida had not stepped in, Native would have been murdered. As in if not for Aizu, both would be dead. No one else even realized that the hero killer was in Hosu. Are you saying we should have stood by and watched people die? To-do says, So it's okay to break the law as long as it goes your way. Kenji says, only irritating to do more. But, sir, isn't a hero's job to save people? Todoroki say angrily. This is why you're not a full-fledged pro, yet it's obvious UA and Endeavor haven't been teaching you near enough. What a shame. Kenji says, disappointed in UA. You DMN mutt. Todoroki says, marching up to Kenji angrily. I go to wrap my tail around him to stop him, but GT stops Todoroki. Stop there, kid. You'll want to hear him out till the end. GT says, as I retract my tail. What I've said is the official stance of the police department, but any punishment would only be necessary if this went public. If it did, you'd probably be applauded by citizens everywhere. But there's no way you could escape from being reprimanded. On the other hand, we could say Endeavor saved the day. Stains Burns would support this story completely, and we could pretend you weren't involved. Woof. Thankfully, there were very few witnesses. This would be the last you heard of any punishments. It would mean no one would know about you, though. You'd receive no acclaim at all. The choice is yours. Personally, I know where I stand. I don't want to damage any promising young career. Not for a mistake like this. Kenji says, giving us a thumbs up. Either way, we'll need to take responsibility for being negligent as supervisors. Manuel says, before Iida walks up bowing his head. I'm sorry. Should have listened. Iida says, yeah, you caused us a lot of trouble. Remember that, and don't do it again. Manuel says, sir. Iida says, I'm sorry too. I say, reluctantly bowing my head a bit. Me too. We'll leave it to you. Todoroki says, bowing his head. I know it's not fair. You won't enjoy any of the fame and praise you probably would have received it otherwise. But at least allow me, as the chief of police, to thank you. Kenji says, bowing his head as well. You know, you could have started with that. Todoroki says, as I swat the back of Todoroki's head with my tail. None of us knew we'd end up fighting in that back alley. And in the end, no one else would find out. But the implications of that battle would continue to eat at us, even after our wounds had healed. I narrate, none POV as people look through the newspapers seeing Stains fall. Now, our continuing coverage. 3 villains were captured in the Hosu riots. Their identities and motives are yet unknown. Based on their distinctive appearance, however, and the presence of 2 people our reporter filmed nearby, many are speculating they're connected to the League of Villains that attacked Waihai last month. Male reporter says, the hero killer Stain claimed many lives. In fact, he has had more victims than any other criminal since All Might burst into the scene. With his arrest, everyone in the country can rest a little easier tonight. Female reporter says, as a figure on the street watches it before walking off. The seriously wounded hero killer is currently receiving treatment at a hospital under heavy police guard. Officials are awaiting the recovery of several of his victims before further investigating the villain's motives. Male reporter says, as a large figure listens to it deep in the forest. We're talking about a criminal who has left his mark on Japan, if not the world. The hero killer Stain. Why did he do it? What did he hope to gain? Don't be shy. We're taking calls and want to hear your thoughts. A podcast says, as a girl skipping through an abandoned warehouse listening to it. I'm coming to you live from Eloy Street in Hosu City. Last night, just after 8 p.m., the hero killer Stain was arrested by Endeavor on this very BLO. News lady says before Kuro turns off the TV. He's all they're talking about. What about my Nomus? Shiga says, crumbling up a newspaper and throwing it to the side. Flashback. Once this night is over, the world will have forgotten you ever existed. Shiga says, laughing evilly. End of flashback. Not only have they not forgotten, but we didn't even make the front page. Shiga says, annoyed. But could go POV at best, Genus Agency. Let's talk about the incident last night in Hosu. The hero killer Stain was arrested. There were also incidents with villains who resembled Nomu from the UA attack. You're likely worried how this all stitches together. Well, I too am concerned. People tend to come apart at the seams in times like this. That's why we heroes must remain calm despite our fears. Don't let chaos tempt you into thoughtless overreaction. Remember, we're here to protect others, not seek out vengeance. It'll be business as usual today. Standard material. May your minds and bodies be as sharp as your genes. BJ says, as everyone dismisses. Damn it, I'm so ready to get out of this place. I thought to myself, annoyed that I have to wear jeans and my hair brushed down. Kirishima POV at 4th Kind Agency. Iida wrote me back. That location he sent was in the middle of the action in Hosu. That's why he messaged us. Man, am I glad I reported it. I say, relieved. Hey, put that down before 4th Kind sees you. We're gonna be late. Tetsu says, closing his locker before turning, but his eyes widen in fear. 1 second. I want to reply. I say before we both get hit in the head by FK, but luckily our quirks stop his fists. What did I say about punctuality? FK says, right. Sorry, sir. We both say, nervously. Come on. Time to patrol. FK says, sorry I'm skipping Momo's agency. I hate hair ads, they're annoying. I also have to skip your arc, since they don't exactly have feelings for each other, but they did talk to each other. Iida POV, I walk back into the room. Iida and Todoroki are staying and rubbing my ear after talking to Mei about how my endoskeleton not being strong enough. She got a little annoyed by that, but she's even more excited to continue to make me new endoskeleton stronger than the one I have now. Sorry, I was talking to Mei. I say, Iida just got his test results back. Tadu says, getting my attention. My left hand might have permanent damage. Iida says, as the dots in my eyes shrink in shock. Permanent damage. I think to myself, both my arms were pretty torn up, but the injury to my left arm was especially severe. There was damage to my brachial plexus, which just means I'll have trouble moving my fingers, and my hand might be numb. There's a chance it could be healed with nerve transplant surgery. When I came across the hero killer, I stopped thinking rationally. The first thing I should have done was call Manuel, but I got lost in my own anger. I hate him so much, but I can't deny he spoke the truth. That's why, until I'm able to call myself a real hero, I'll leave my left hand as it is. Iida says, accepting his punishment for staying. Are you sure? Tadu asks. Maybe I should have talked to him about what kind of pain he felt back then. No, not now. It would be selfish to make this about me. I thought to myself, Iida, it might not be the same, but let's get stronger. Together. I say, as we both nod to each other. I feel kind of bad. Tadu says, confusing me and Iida. Whenever I'm involved, someone gets badly hurt. Is something wrong with me? Am I cursed? Tadu says, as Iida laughs while I try to hold in my laughter. Todoroki, it was more my fault back at the sports festival. I say, finally laughing, my raspy voice making a weird laughter. This isn't a joke. I'm like the Bone Crusher or something. As me and Iida only laugh harder. All Might POV at UA. A phone call is here. A phone call. My phone rings as I put to my ear. Yes, hello. I say. He can't possibly be serious with that ringtone. Aizawa thought dumbfounded. Wah. Hi, sir. I say, standing up from my seat shocked. You could have warned me about Oriizu. I know it probably couldn't be helped, but thanks to him, I'm getting a pay cut and my teaching license is being suspended for 6 months. His tendency to jump into situations without thinking is just like yours, Tashinori. Gran Torino says on the phone, I humbly apologize, sir. It's just he doesn't really like me, so it's hard to teach him. Oh man, this is bad. I say, sweating bullets while walking to the hall. He may not like you, but he is similar to you. But I don't care about my teaching license. You're the only reason I got it. And that was so I could keep my promise to your predecessor, Shimura. GT says, and I truly appreciate all you did for me. It's only because of your wisdom and guidance that I'm the number on Hero today. I say, walking through the hall. I know, but let me ask, why didn't you give one for all to him? GT says as I stop in my tracks. Well, I met him before he was much different than he is today. I thought he was not suited for OFA. I say, disappointed in myself. Well, you should have thought more about it. But I actually called to talk about the hero killer. I saw him only briefly in person, but in that short amount of time, he shook me to my very core. There is such hatred inside of that man. GT says, as I sneak into the teacher's lounge. I can't believe he was able to frighten someone like you, Gran Torino. He must have already been tied up, so what scared you? I say, closing the door into the lounge. It probably stemmed from his fanatic ideology. There was something very intimidating about his obsession. I'm not trying to praise him or anything, but he's got the same determination as you when it comes to your symbol or peace thing. There are similarities. GT says, "What do you mean?" I say, sitting down on the couch. To put it simply, you've both got charisma. As the investigation continues, his ideology and opinions will be all over the media. Everyone will want to know his motives. The age we live in, for better or for worse, is one of suppression. There will be people across the globe who are influenced by these new ideas. GT says, if that's true, and he inspires copycat villains, they'll probably strike out on their own. Heroes will be able to stop them, just like they did this time. I say, that's where the League of Villains comes in. The Hosu incident suggests that Stain and the League are connected somehow. That means the League will go from being thought of as a bunch of juvenile delinquents that attacked UA to being recognized as a group with an ideology. In other words, these new converts will seek them out. GT says, shocking me. Even if each individual is insignificant, if that evil gathers under one banner, it'll swell to unstoppable proportions. If the villain in charge knew this would happen from the beginning, then he is a brilliant strategist. He's steadily getting rid of any obstacles one by one, trying to create conditions that will favor his own purpose. GT says, when I heard from Sukachi that Nomu had multiple quirks, I had a bad feeling. What if he's back? I say, clenching my fists. You're concerned it could be the man who killed Shimuramai, sworn friend, your MSTR, and the previous holder of One for All, the man who opened that hole in your stomach. You're afraid the villain named All for One is one to rise again. GT says, for him to have survived such an injury, though I don't want to imagine it's possible. I say, worried but angry. Tashinori, that child, you should probably tell him in case he needs to take over OFA if your successor fails. Be honest. He deserves to know the truth. GT says, Aizu POV 2 days after the Hosu incident, the hero killer's identity and motives started being dissected from various angles. I narrate, unknown POV, lately it's been hard finding to do business with. My buddies all complain about not being able to sell stuff. It's a real pain. A broker says, smoking a cigar. That's because it's a serious crime to develop or sell support items and costumes if we don't have a license. On top of that, there have been rumors that legit support companies have been setting extra gear on the black market to people who aren't certified heroes. An intermediary says, running his fingers along his gun. Ugh, man, I miss the days before All Might. And I was still small time back then. Remember when villains were wild and impulsive? Everyone thought they could take over the world. It was a real good time. But when All Might showed up, everything changed and got so DMN boring. Can't have any fun when that pillar of justice is around. Maybe it's time for me to finally call it quits. A broker says, don't be rash. Listen, just between you and me, I know of a way to make some real cash. Keep this on the down low. I'm only telling you, BC, I know your guy has quality goods to sell. Have you seen this yet? I'm just going to call him the ugly guy, says, lifting up his phone, showing a video named Kill the Hero Stain. Huh, what's that? The broker says, confused. It's a video of the hero killer. He's hot right now. The ugly guy says, turning on the video. As the video starts, it shows a picture of Stain before BLD droplets appear, before a picture of the hero killer tied up. The hero killer Stain. Real name, Kaizome Akaguro. As a child, he was greatly inspired by All Might's debut. He enrolled in a private hero high school, but was dismayed by what he viewed as the educational system's skewed understanding of what it meant to be a hero. Throughout his teenage years, Kism advocated for a return to the early days of heroes, but quickly realized that words had no power. For the next 10 years, he trained in killing techniques in order to fulfill his self-appointed duty. During this time, his parents passed away in what police eventually ruled as a tragic accident. His focus was on returning to the old days. He believed heroes should not seek compensation. The one should epitomize the idea of self-sacrifice. He believed that present-day pros were frauds. Through his violent purges, he hoped society would eventually side with him. The video narrates, these streets must run with the BLD of hypocrites. Hero, I will reclaim that word. Come on, just try and stop me, you fakes. There is only one man I'll let kill me. He is a true hero. All might is worthy. The video says, showing Stain's speech before ending, and the broker snaps out of his trance. This keeps getting uploaded and immediately taken down online. But they can't stop it. It's not hard to see. This guy is really stirring something in people. From villains with countless convictions to felons on the run, all the major players, including me, are watching. It's infectious. Do you feel it? I don't think the heroes realize what's awakening. The evil that was once quiet and scattered now has a rally cry that's calling out to it. Individual criminals are seeking out the organization that the hero killer Stain was connected to. They're all headed to the League of Villains. Aizu POV, it's been 2 days since Hosu and 5 days since Class 1 they started our internships. I had to stay and wait for May to finish my new endoskeleton. But everyone on the news is obsessed with the hero killer. The story being reported is that 7 pro heroes and 3 high school students stumbled upon him. Then Endeavor rushed in and took care of the situation all by himself. Of course, that's just the official cover from the police department. The chief was true to his word. Me, Iida, and Todoroki were never named in contention to the hero killer. Our injuries were explained as being caused by accidents that happened during our internships. The day Iida got his exam results and realized one of his arms was seriously damaged, he ended up going back home to his parents' house, so his mom could take care of him. Todoroki's injuries weren't all that bad. I narrate, as I walk with a nurse to get used to my new endoskeleton after the so-called surgery. Flashback, I'm returning to my internship. To-do says, getting ready to leave. Back to your old man. I say, messing with my unstable endoskeleton. I still want to learn everything I can from him. Besides, they're saying he defeated the hero killer, even though it was actually his son who helped out. I want to see if there's any shame on his face. To-do says, walking out of the room. As intense as always. I thought to myself, in a flashback, I wonder how everyone's doing. I thought to myself, sorry I'm skipping Baku, is too annoying to type with how angry Baku gets so easily at kids. Your Arca POV at Gunhead Agency. Let's start with how you'd fight against someone wielding a blade. You Ravity. Try attacking me. Gunhead says, standing across from me as I wield an army knife. Are you sure? I say, a little worried. There's no need to hold back. GH says, encouraging me. All right, here I come. I say, charging at him as I swing the knife at him, but he effortlessly dodges. When someone's waving a knife around, best bet's to keep your distance. If they attack directly, plant one leg and use it to pivot and dodge, GH says, stepping to the side. Then grab their wrist and back at the same time. Now you can take them down. GH says, grabbing my wrist and pin me to the ground. See how I did that? Twist the attacker's wrist to make them drop their knife. Make sure you kick it away for your own safety. So, easy peasy, right? GH says, twisting my wrist, making me drop the knife before kicking it away, before letting me go. His movements were so fluid. These Gunhead martial arts are amazing. He's acting cute, but he's fierce. I thought to myself, holding my wrist as GH wobbled childlike and grabbed the knife. This time, how about I hold the knife? We'll keep on repeating this until it's second nature. Sounds good. GH says, yes, sir. I say, Momo's internship is self-explanatory. Kirishima POV at a park with fourth kind, giving back to the community is a big part of being a hero. So don't let me see you dragging your feet. Understand me. FK says, holding his trash back with his bottom arms and picking up trash with his top arms. Got it, Mr. Fourth Kind, sir. Me and Tetsu say, bored. I can't hear you. FK yells. Got it, Mr. Fourth Kind, sir. Me and Tetsu yell, reluctantly. Jiro POV at a hostage situation with death arms. How many hostages? DA whispers as I use my earplug on the wall. For what I can hear, I think only 2. I say, worried I might be wrong. Okay, we're going in. Earphone jack. You lead the hostages to safety. DA says, getting ready to go in. All right, not a problem. I say, as DA bursts through the door. We're pro heroes. Do as we say. DA yells. I'll SCRT you. Please come with me. I say, as the two hostages run by me. Oh, we're saved. Hostage 1 says as I follow behind them. Thank you so much, hero. Hostage 2 says, making me smirk at the comment. To Ajui POV at Pro Hero Selki Agency, I come out of the water after cleaning the bottom of the ship. Froppy. Sirius says, getting my attention. How's the work going? Sirius asks. I think I'm all done cleaning the deck. What now, Sirius? I say/ask before Sirius holds up 2 drinks. It's kind of boring having to spend every day cleaning, isn't it? Sirius says, a little. I answer. You know, I felt the same way when I did my internship. As a kid, I'd always imagined I knew what it meant to be a hero. It turns out, the reality is very different. I always figured being a hero would be super glamorous, but then I discovered it was a lot of patrols and cleaning up. I even had to do laundry, which meant washing the captain's underwear. I had to ask myself what I was even doing here. Sirius says, a little annoyed. So you got tired of it? I say, at first, yeah. But after becoming the captain's sidekick, I figured something out. I realized what was actually important when it came to being a hero. Sirius says, a little happier. Oh, really? What was it? Will you tell me? I ask curiously. Oh, it'll be better if you find it out for yourself. Don't you think? Sirius says, happily. Ribbit. I croak. Hey, Froppy. Why were you just sitting there? Shouldn't a frog be jumping to get her work done? And I thought I told you to keep on top of her, Sirius. Don't you slack, either. Pro Hero Selki says, walking up to me and Sirisu. I finished cleaning the deck, Captain, sir. I say, and I'm totally supervising her properly. Sirius says, wrapping her arm over my shoulder. Ribbit. I croak. Oh, is that right? Guess I jumped to conclusions. Sorry about that, ladies. I apologize, my bad. Forgive me. Selki says, as he tries to make a cute face, serious eyes in embarrassment, as I look at confusion. I'm too cute for words, aren't I, Froppy? Selki laughing before winking at me. Yeah, she's dumbfounded. I know I always say this, but trying to look cute like that doesn't work. The rest of your physique is just too macho. Your face is pretty rugged, too. Sirius says, embarrassed. What did you say? Why make that sweet face for kids that eat it up? Selki yells, confused by the comment. Of course, because they're actually making fun of you. Trust me, there's nothing cute about it. Sirius says, pointing her finger to him as he leans away. Adorable. I thought to myself, with a little blush. Captain Saki, sir. An urgent message has come in from the Coast Guard. Sidekick 1 says, standing outside the control deck. I hear ya. Coming now. Selki says, walking up to the control deck. Froppy, will you help me unfasten the ropes? Looks like we're sailing out. Sirius says, as I follow with a little ribbit. In the control deck, Sidekick 1 hands the phone to Selki. Selki here. Selki says as I untie a rope with ease. Hey, you're good at this. Sirius says, before we start tugging the rope up onto the boat. I see. Okay, we're on it. Selki says, before hanging up the phone. The ropes are pulled in. Sirius says, hear that, sailors. Emergency departure. Selki says, aye, sir. Everyone on the ship yells, saluting. Full speed ahead. Selki says, as the propellers under the boat start spinning as the boat starts to move. Good work. The Oki Mariner is on the move. Selki yells. Little while later, so what are we dealing with? Sirius asks. The Coast Guard got a tip that there were stowaways on the trade ship, Nyson, but things may not be what they seem. Officials inspected the ship, but they didn't find any stowaways hiding on the vessel. Upon further investigation, though, they discovered that important cargo from the ship's freight list was missing. I'm sure you all know what that means. What do you think, Froppy? Selki asks, surprising me. It's likely that before the Coast Guard arrived, the stowaways moved the cargo to another ship somewhere close by and fled the scene of the crime. In fact, it's possible that the stowaways had plants on the ship. I say, correct. Selki says, trying to be cute. So embarrassing. All the sidekicks thought at the same time. Adorable. I thought to myself, it's our job to find these criminals. Based on the information we have, they probably escaped on a small boat. We will deliver them to the Coast Guard. Considering the Nyson's position, this is the general location that would make the most sense as an escape route, Selki says, as he clicks a few buttons on the table and a small hologram map of the area around the boat. Authorities and other sea rescue heroes are also searching for them. We'll be focusing on this area. Take notes, Selki says, as the map zooms in on a curtain area. The sun will set soon. That means you'll be searching for the boat via radar. I'll take to the ocean and look for them myself. That's all. Got it. Let me hear ya, sailors. Selki says, Aye, sir. We say, saluting before Selki jumps off the side of the ship. Sea rescue hero, Selki. His quirk, Spotted Seal. He could do pretty much anything a spotted seal can. That includes making a sonar-like sound and using its echo to determine the position of his opponents. He's also very strong. Present Mike narrates, They aren't anywhere here. Guess I'll have to widen my search. Selki thought to himself before swimming around the area faster. On the boat, me and Sirius look through our binoculars around the area, but it's way too dark. As expected, I can't see anything in the darkness. And we haven't seen anything on the radar yet, either. I said, Never fear. Don't forget, the captain's looking for them, too. Sirius says, reassuring me. Message from the Coast Guard. A fishing boat thought to belong to the stowaways has shaken off a Hero Agency patrol boat. It was last seen heading toward the area that we're in charge of searching. Subordinate 1 says, on the speaker before Selki jumps out of the water and back on the boat. I've confirmed the location of the missing fishing boat we've been looking for. This is our chance. Turn off the lights and get close without letting them know where we are. Selki orders. Aye, sir. Everyone says, saluting, as our boat drives by the target boat. Captain, we found the boat. I don't think they've spotted us. Subordinate 1 says, driving the boat. Good. I want you to block their course with the Oki Mariner, then board their vessel while setting off a flare. Selki orders. Aye, sir. Everyone says, saluting. What should I do? I say, confused. You stay here. You're with her. Selki says. Yes, sir. Sirius says. But how can I learn if I don't get any experience? I say, even more confused. Just be quiet and do as I say in turn. Let's go. Selki says, a little harsh. You want to go with them, Froppy, I know. I get it. But you know something? Thing is, even though we're only up against some stowaways, this could still be dangerous. So we have to follow the captain's orders. We'll support them together. Sirius says, reassuring me. Ribbit. I croak. Captain, we impeded their intended course, as ordered. Boat driver says, on the speaker. All right, then you can leave the rest to me. Selki says, before the lights shine at the fishing boat, blinding a few of the stowaways. This is a pro hero. Stop your ship. We're here on behalf of the Coast Guard. We will now inspect your vessel. Selki orders on the speaker. A few minutes before boarding the vessel. Captain, I looked for the missing cargo, but I didn't find anything. SK1 says. Yeah, same here. SK2 says. See, what did I tell ya? You'll find nothing but humble fishermen aboard. The captain says, before Selki puts his foot on a fish hatch. Then, you can show us what's inside this, too. Can't you? Selki asks. It's just fish down there. The captain says. Then open the hatch and let's see. Selki says. What a pain. A squid-headed boy in red named Karasu says, annoyed. This is pointless. A squid-faced boy in blue named Tombai says, annoyed as they open the hatch. It's too dark to see anything clearly. SK1 says, looking into the darkness. Can't you turn on the lights? Selki says, before the three are pushed into the fish hatch. I did exactly what you said. So please, there's no reason to kill me. The captain says, scared. Oh, we won't kill ya. Karasa says, don't worry. Tombai says, before they both push the captain into the fish hatch. I think we bought some time. Karasa says, it'll be easier for Boston's mouth to do what he needs to do now. Tombai says, I think this means our job here is complete. Karasa says, as they do a handshake before jumping into the water. Captain, please respond. SK3 says, trying to contact them. It's no use. We've lost contact. I'm going over there. SK3 says, going to the door. Hold on. Sirius says, as SK3 stops. Sirius. Her quirk, good ear. She can hear high frequencies that normal people can't detect. Present Mike narrates. Sirius listens in as Selki uses Morse code by making clicking sound with his mouth. The stowaway's different boat. Sirius says, making me and SK3 gasp. We're fine. Find them. Go. Start the ship. Sirius orders. Right. SK3 says, starting up the boat. If that was a decoy, the stowaways are probably heading toward the shore. Hurry. Sirius orders. We're at full speed. SK3 says, starting the ship. Shouldn't we rescue the others? I say, a little worried. The captain is relying on us to follow his orders. If we believe in him, then we trust in his course of action. Do you have faith, Froppy, in the captain and in us? Sirius says as I nod, understanding the task. A minute later, right there, hiding in those shadows of the rocks. Sirius says as a ship comes into view behind the rocks. DM in it. This won't be easy. SK says, a little annoyed. Cut the engines and approach their blind spot. Sirius orders. Yes, ma'am. SK says. Why do I say you in this with us? Sirius asks as I croak in agreement. Behind the stowaway's ship, we notice a squid-headed girl in yellow guarding the boat. There's someone keeping watch. SK says. Froppy, can you bring the guard over to us? Sirius asks. Leave it to me. I say, before using me Tanj to wrap around the girl and bring her up to us. What's happening? No. You guys were... The girl yells before Sirius covers her mouth. If you answer our questions, then we won't have to get rough with you. Sirius says. After a few questions, we tie her up. Ready? I ask. Do it. Sirius says, as I use my tongue to lower us onto the ship. There's only one other person on this cruiser. He's hiding out in the main cabin. Sirius informs us. I can take care of him. SK says, walking over before ink is sprayed in his face. My eyes. SK yells. Watch out. Sirius yells, before SK gets hit by a tentacle into a rock, knocking him out. Froppy. Sirius yells, pushing me out of the way before getting grabbed by a tentacle. Sirius. I yell, before the door to the main cabin gets blown off by several tentacles. I've got you now. In's mouth laughs. A villain. Sirius says. And here I thought I'd gotten away with it. But you idiots just won't give up, now will you? How sad. A girl and some kid are all that's left to stop me. In's mouth says, before Sirius goes to swing at him with a baton, but he swats it out of her hand before starting to squeeze her tighter. Not so fast, he says as I try to move to help Sirius. I'll give her back just as soon as the Coast Guard calls off their search. But first, you're gonna help me unload the cargo, got it? He says before static is heard, catching his attention. Sorry, our transmission was blocked, and we're still stuck on the fishing boat. The captain made it out. How are things on your end? Tell me your status. Please respond. SK1 says on the radio, in serious ear fins worrying me. So this is actually a radio. He says, taking off the ear fin radio. Here you go, kid. If you value this woman's life, then repeat after me. Unfortunately, we weren't able to track down the stowaways. He says, extending his tentacle to hand the radio to me. Froppy, don't do, Sirius says, before her mouth gets covered by the villain's tentacle hand. Sirius. I say, worried. Hurry up, now. The villain says as I try to figure out how to get them out of here. Oh, I see. You don't care what happens to your friend here. Come on, get to it. Well, the villain says, as I look over to Sirius. I realized what was actually important when it came to being a hero. The captain is relying on us to follow his orders. If we believe in him, then we trust in his course of action. Do you have faith, Froppy? Sirius words go through my head. I get it now. I say. As In's mouth chuckles, I press the button. The stowaways are at the double rocks. I yell our location into the radio. Thank you, Tsu. Sirius thought, before getting slammed onto the ground. You stupid little brat. The villain yells, going to attack me, but I dodge his tentacles. I'll kill you. Stop jumping around and stay still, damn it. The villain yells before I shoot my tongue at Sirius wrapping around her waist, but my tongue is grabbed by the villain. Oh yes, I've got you. The villain says, throwing me into one of the rock pillars. This is the end, Froggy. You're just a helpless child. But since you came here uninvited, I'll have to teach both of you a lesson. The villain says, before two things were thrown at him, knocking him away from me. The two things that were thrown at him were Tanbai and Karasu. Boss. The two yell, falling back towards the water. My brothers. The villain yells before something jumps out of the water. I ribbit happily as Selki is shown. Captain. I say happily. Sorry for being late. Leave the rest to me. Selki says before ink was shot in his eyes. Think again. The villain says before bounding off the rock going to punch him, but he dodges as clicking can be heard. Even if I can't see, Selki says, as he blocked one of the villain's attacks. I know where you are. You can't hide, villain. Selki yells, as the villain lands back on the ship. You BSDRD. The villain yells, sending a barrage of attacks at Selki, but he blocks all of them. Captain. Sirius yells, grabbing the villain's leg, making him lose balance. It's over. Selki yells, sending one last powerful kick to the villain's face into the water, basically making an explosion in the water. The captain's amazing. I say amazed. Froppy. Sirius says, I croak before jumping back down onto the ship. Are you all right? Did he hurt you? Sirius asks, worried about me more than herself. I'm okay. But what about you? I ask worried. Well, thanks to you, I'm still here. Sirius says, as Selki peeks his head out of the water. You two did a great job here. Thanks to you, we caught the stowaways. Selki says, Captain. Sirius says, relieved. Thanks so much. Selki says, try and make a cute face. You really are hopeless. Sirius says, rolling onto the ground. Sirius, I'm really glad I had the chance to come to this internship. I think I got it now. What's important when it comes to being a hero? And it'll definitely help me become a pro. I say happily, well, that's nice. Sirius says, relieved. The next morning at the docks, arrest all the stowaways, the CG says, as the villains are being carried away on a stick. We were able to recover all the illegal drags they were trying to bring in. It was a big haul. By the way, you didn't tell me that you got a new sidekick, Saki. A Coast Guard says, catching me attention as I give a small crock. She's a UA student. Here for an internship. Selki says, well, you don't say. We put you through something scary today, huh? I'm sorry. The CG says, hey now, don't treat her like a kid. Froppy may not have her license yet, but she's an excellent hero. I'd state my name on that. Selki says, as Sirius nods in agreement. Well, then, I guess I can look forward to working with you again. Hope to see you soon, Froppy. The CG says as I shake his hand, giving happy ribbits. Izu POV outside Gran Torino's house. I stretch my legs. Hey, old man, thanks. I say, who are you calling old man? GT yells, smacking my leg with his walking stick, but it barely even budges. I smirk at how strong it is now. But I don't think there's any reason for you to thank me. I wasn't around when the real big stuff happened. GT says, yeah, but without your reflex and speed training you gave me, I wouldn't have beat Stain. I say before GT goes to smack my head with the cane, but I dodge. Hey, you may have beat him, but he also let you live. Well, at least you have upped your reflexes, even though you did lose your paw. I know what happened. You went into an attack too slow. I trained you to be fast and reactive. I'm sure you know this, but you still got a heck of a lot to learn, boy. So keep at it. See you around. GT says, wait, if you were All Might's teacher, why aren't you well known in the Hero Society? Is there a reason? I ask. Oh, that's an easy one. I was just never that interested in working as a pro hero. There was a point in my past when I needed to be able to use my quirk freely without limits. That's the only reason I got my license. It might be better to hear this from Toshi. All Might, I know you don't like him, but he'll explain. GT says, one more thing. What is one for all? I heard that word every now and then while I was here. I ask, that's something that you would have a slim chance of him answering. GT says, well, I'm going, sir. I say, as I start walking away. So he's the future, huh? He may hate him, but it feels like he acted like him in the past. The man chosen by my friend. The man who inherited one for all. Who became the very best. GT thoughts to himself. Hey boy, who are you? GT says, I'm about to key, I get it now. I thought to myself, I'm Catnap, the naptime hero. I say, smirking as I also get a smurf from him 2, knowing I answered right as he walks back inside. Let's you and me watch over him together, Tashinori. Until the day you pass on into history. Until the day that the hero, Catnap, is celebrated around the world as the possible symbol or peace. GT thought to himself, at UA haha, holy CRP. What the heck, Bakugo? Siro and Kiri say, laughing their asses off. Stop laughing. My hair's gotten used to this and I can't get it back the right way. Did you not hear me? I'll kill you both. Baku says, his hair brushed down. I'd like to see you try, pretty boy. Siro says, still laughing. What did you call me? Baku yells, his hair puffing up. Hey, there it goes. Siro says, still laughing. Oh, what's this? Kiri says, noticing a note on his desk, he picks it up and opens it before his face goes pale. I hope picking up trash was fun. Kiri reads, who the heck? Kiri says, looking around for anyone who put the note there, he notices some also have a note, some smiling, some pale. After a minute or two, awesome. You gotta face actual villains. I'm super jealous. Mina says excitedly, well, I didn't fight. All I did was help people evacuate and provide logistical support. Jiro says before I walk up to her, just evacuating people is still hero work. I say, well, thanks. Jiro says, a little intimidated by my height as I nod and walk away. Aiz is right, it sounds like so much fun. Mina says, I spent basically the whole time training and cleaning the ship deck. Though, there's this one day we caught a bunch of drag smugglers. Sue says bluntly, okay, that's cool. Jiro and Mina both say, surprised. What about you, Achiko? How was your week? Sue asks, turning to look at her as she lets a calm breath of air as I stand next to Uraraka. I look over to them unsure of what's happening. I'd say that it was very enlightening. Uraraka says, punching the air, I think she found her fighting spirit. Sue says, yeah, that battle hero must have been something else. Jiro says, after 1 week, she's like a totally different person. Kemi says, surprised. Different. Don't be fooled, Kaminari. All women are duh, Mineta says before smacking him into the wall, cracking it. Oh, that's better than seeing that. Kami says, as I nod, walking over to Iida and to do. But everyone in my internship loved me. It was actually kind of great. Now, if you want to talk about the ones who really changed, it was those 3. Kami says, as most turn their attention to me, Iida, and to do. Oh yeah, the hero killer. Siro says, being held by the back of his by Baku. Glad you guys made it back alive. Seriously. Kiri says, also being held by his back collar. I was also worried about you two. Momo says, you were lucky Endeavor showed up and saved you guys. Sato says, as everyone starts walking to us. So cool. Just what I'd expect from the number 2 hero. Hagakure says, as my claw tapping in annoyance, that we had to hide the fact we defeated him, but it's for the better. Yeah, that's right. He saved us. To-Do says, as I notice the annoyance in his voice. Did you guys hear the news about the hero killer? Everyone's been saying that he was connected to the League of Villains. Can you imagine how frightening it would have been if that creep had been there when they attacked the USJ? Ojiro says, I walk up to him. I could snap his arm again if it makes you feel better. I say, as everyone, some shake their heads not wanting to see that. Very well. I say, walking back over next to To-Do and Iida. But did you see him in that weird video? It's all over the internet. Kami says, I didn't even know there was a video of him. Ojiro says, shaking off the fear from me. Yastane's a pretty evil villain, but like super tenacious. He's almost kind of cool, don't you guys think? Kami says, Kaminari, no. I say, glaring at him with my white pupils. Oh, dude. Kami stutters and shaken by my glare. Calm down, Aizu, it's okay. You're fine, Kaminari. It is true that he's quite a tenacious villain. I understand why people might think he was cool, but instead of helping the world, his beliefs led him to cold-blooded murder. No matter his motives, killing cannot be condoned. To keep everyone else from suffering. Like me, well, I promise I will strive to be the perfect hero. Iida says, good luck. I say, as I smirk at his declaration. It's time for class to begin. Everyone, please take your seats. Iida orders. He's back. Toko says, this is your fault for talking about weird stuff. Jiro says, looking at Cammy. Sorry, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. Cammy says, as I bonk him on the head. You better. I say, before I remember his words back at the hospital. Until I'm able to call myself a real hero, I'll leave my left hand as it is. Iida says, in a flashback, You're already growing. Good luck, Iida. I thought to myself, at Field Gamma, I am here. Hope you're ready to return to our lessons. Today it's hero basic training. Feels like I haven't seen you in a while. Welcome back. Now then, listen carefully for what's in store. We're going to be conducting a little race. Take everything you've learned from your internships and apply it to this rescue training. AM says, if it's rescue training, then shouldn't we be at the USJ instead? Iida says, lifting his hand in the air. Ah, that facility specialized in disasters. As I said earlier, this is a race. So prepare. You're about to step into Field Gamma. Inside is an area full of factories that form an intricate labyrinth. So good luck finding your way around. You'll be competing in groups of 5. Each person starts from a different location on the outskirts of the model city. I'll send a distress signal, and you do what you must to rescue me. Whoever finds me first wins. But try to keep the property damage to a bare minimum, please. AM says, slowly pointing at Baku. Why were you pointing at me? Baku says, annoyed. All right, first group, get to your places. AM says, why is Aizu at the farthest side from All Might? Cammy says, he's testing how fast he can catch up to the others. Mei says, watch from the back of the group, scarring the class with her sudden appearance. Mei, Uraraka says, surprised. Hi, just watching how his training went. Mei says, who's your pick? I'm betting on Aizu. Kiri says, excited. Oh yeah, I got odds on Ojiro. Cammy says, confident in Ojiro. I choose Ishido, because she's got a super athletic body. Mineta says, I know that Cat will be last. Baku says, annoyed. Even if he's still recovering, I think Iida's got this one. Uraraka says, as Tsu rib bits in agreement. Is everyone ready? Begin. AM says, before pressing a button in his hand as an air horn goes off. Zero uses his tape to pipe and stuff. Mina's skating on the pipes with her acid. Ojiro slapping his tail on the ground to propel in the air, and Iida sprinting through the area. Look at him go. In a maze like this, it makes sense to be above everything else. Kiri cheers. So that means Zero's at an advantage because he can take to the sky. Shoji says, with his tentacle. Wait, the camera lost Aizu. Sato says, as everyone looks at my camera to see I'm not there. It's like this course was built with me in mind. Zero says, before I speed past him as a purple blur, I propelling off every pipe and wall with blinding speed. Something flew by Zero's screen. Cammy says, as the camera finally catches up to me showing my quick movement through the area. Whoa, Aizu. Kiri and Mineta yell. Since when can he move like that? Cammy says, what, no way. Zero says, flabbergasted, before he could only go in a straight line without almost getting lost. But it's like his mind is going at that speed as well, but also look at the way he propels himself through the air to do, thought to himself. Crazy. Those jumps. He looks just like Uraraka says. Those are my moves. While I spent my time getting groomed at that useless internship, he replicated my movements. Baku thought to himself, Aizu, are you kidding me? We'll never outrun him now. Mina says, handing from a wall with her acid. He should have hit something by now. Ojiro says, using his tail to hang onto a pipe. I bound off a pipe before seeing a large pipe in front of me as I hit face first into the pipe with a dong. Everyone winces. A minute later, where All Might is, and it's over. Thanks, hero. And congratulations. AM says, handing Zero a chest. All right, Zero says proudly, as I sit there scanning my face to see if any damage happened to my endoskeleton. I think I was going too fast. I say, you're fine, babe. I have to go be good. Mei says, giving me a kiss before running back to the support course. I smirk before noticing Zero smirking at me. I will bury you if you talk about this. I say, glaring at him. Young Zero may have come in first, but compared to the start of the year, you all showed me some incredible improvements. Keep working and preparing for your upcoming final exams. Group 1, leave the field. You're up, Group 2. All Might says before walking up to me. What do you want? I say, glaring at him. Find me after class. I have some stuff to tell you. AM says, fine. I say before walking off. In the boys' locker room, that was some tough training today, huh? Sato says, it's the first class in a while that had me glistening. Aoyama said, tired. Man, I really got to work on my mobility. Kiri says, a little down as he takes off his hero costume. You could also compensate by improving other skills. Toko says, put his tie on. Still wish I could use my quirk for speed. I'm jealous of you guys like you and Zero. And Aizu. How are you even alive and conscious after that? Kami says, taking off his shirt. There's a benefit of having a steel endoskeleton. I say, putting my pendant in a locker, as well as my wristbands. I see. Kami says, hey Aizu, you won't believe what I just found. The jackpot. Someone Shawshanked a hole in this wall. A previous generation has given us a gift. You know what's next door, right? This looks into the girls' locker room. Mineta says, catching some of the boys' attention. I'm going to kill this grape. I say, getting my claws ready. No, Aizu and Mineta don't even think about it. Peeping on them would be criminal. Iida says, as I reluctantly put my paw down. Then you'll have to throw me in solitary confinement, because you can't stop me. Mineta says, ripping the paper off the wall. Don't blame me, but I'm skipping this. I was about to smash him into the ground, but then Jiro's earphone jack goes straight into Mineta's. I'm making everyone flinch, but I smirk. In the girls' locker room, ugh. Thanks, Kyoka. Haga says, despicable, we'll close up this hole immediately. Momo says, annoyed. Why am I the only one he didn't say anything about? Jiro thought to herself, a little jealous. In the halls, I stand at the door to the teacher's lounge. This better not take long. I still need to pick up May. I say to myself, I knock before opening the door. I walk in seeing AM sitting down on the couch in a serious position. Come have a seat. I think it's time to tell you something I know I can trust you with. AM says, as I sit down like a cat still looming over AM. Is it about this one for all thing? I ask as AM nods. Yes, this must stay between us, young Aizu. AM says as I nod. Very well, one for all is a quirk that is transferred through the generations. I was the previous wielder of OFA. AM says before I interrupt. Wait, you had this quirk when I talked to you on that roof. I say, yes, Dash. AM says, I admired you. I wanted to be like you, great, someone that could put a smile on everyone's face just like you, I say. Standing up. But all you could say was I can't be a hero without a quirk. I say, walking to the door. Wait, young Midoriya. AM says. I turn my head to face him with a face that says, don't you dare call me that. I understand you have a good day. AM says as I walk out. What have I done? AM says, putting his hands to his face. None POV. Welcome back to our live show. For our next topic, is it really necessary for heroes to dress sexily? Let's ask our very special studio guest what they think. She's a roofie hero who debuted just this year. It's MT Lady, and she's a pro who's currently teaching at UA High School, the incomparable Midnight. I have no idea what to call him, underscore says, as everyone blushes behind the camera. Thank you so much for joining us. Please have a seat. Let's start with you, Midnight. When you first debuted, your revealing outfit caused quite a stir, underscore says, as the TV switched to a picture of Midnight holding two villains wearing a hero costume with straps going over her BRSD as she is half naked. In fact, it eventually led to the regulations for exposed skin in costumes, bill being taken before the legislature. You're a hero whose sexiness changed the very law of the country. Underscore says. Her costume is still petty racy. MT Lady says. Now I rely on ultra-thin fabrics. Because of the nature of some people's quirks, clothing can restrict their abilities. Sexiness isn't just an aesthetic, it's sometimes needed so we can do our jobs well. Besides, what's more attractive than a hero who can get the job done quickly? Midnight says, I think you just like the attention. MT Lady says, what's with you? Are you trying to start a fight? Midnight says, irritated. I look up to you. I think you're amazing. For someone your age. MT Lady says, you can act like the blushing ingenue all you want, but you're not young. Midnight yells, angrily. I'm saying if the older pros try too hard, then the rest of us have to go further. MT Lady yells back. Don't expect me to write any of my nettest scenes. Aizu POV and UA, alright. That's it for class today. There's only 1 week left before your final exams begin. I'm sure you're all studying consistently, right? Don't forget to keep training. The written exam has only one element. There's also the practical portion to worry about. Good luck. Aizawa says, walking out of the classroom. I've barely even taken notes this semester. Mina laughs, and Kiminari yells. With the sports festival and internship, I didn't have time to read. Kami says, as he got 20th place, and Mina got 19th place. It's true that we haven't had very much free time lately. Tokoyami says, as he got 14th place. We barely learned anything when we took our midterms, so they didn't seem that hard, but I'm kind of worried. They probably won't pull any punches when it comes to testing us. Sato says, getting 12th place, as Kato nods as he gets 11th place. As someone ranked in the top 10, I'm not that concerned. Moneta says, as he got 9th place. What? You were 9th in the midterm. Kami and Mina yell, surprised. Ah, man. And here I thought you were one of us. Mina says, angrily, don't you know weirdo little creeps like you're only likable if they're kind of stupid? Who's going to love you now? Kami says, irritated. Everyone. Trust me. Moneta says, with a smug look. I wrap my tail around the two. You two still have time to study. I say, looming over them as I got 4th place. I squeeze them tighter. Aizuno squeezing your classmates to death. Iida says, as he got 2nd place. It's pretty hard to fail if you just pay attention in class, isn't it? Tadu says, as he got 5th place. I get it, now can I please breathe, Aizu? Kami says, as I unwrap my tail, letting the two free. Hey, don't worry about it. I can catch you up to speed on the important topics. Momo says, as she got 1st place. You're the best, Yao Momo. Kami and Mina say, happily. I won't be any help when it comes to the practical, though. Momo says in defeat. I've been studying, but could you help me out, too? I'm having some trouble understanding quadratic functions. Jiro asks, as she got 7th place. Really? Momo says, surprised. Tutor me, please. Classical Japanese is killing me. Shiro says, putting his hands together over his head as he got 17th place. Is there room for one more? I'm afraid I'm falling behind a little. Ojiro asks, as he got 8th place. Pretty please. The three say, pleading. Wonderful. Yes, let's do it. Momo cheers, followed by the others cheer. Okay then. We can hold a study session at my residence over the weekend. Momo says, happily. Seriously. I can't wait to see your fancy digs. Mina says, as Momo starts talking about getting her place ready, as I could just sense the richness pouring out of her. Sounds like I should be studying with her. Kiri says, in defeat, as he got 15th place. You think I don't know enough? I should beat the lessons into you. Baku says, angrily as he got 3rd place. Counting on it. Kiri says, huh, everyone is panicking right now, but it won't do them any good to cram this late in the game. Aoyama says, as he is 18th place. Shouldn't you be more concerned you didn't do very well in the midterms? Shoji says with his tentacle hand shapes as a mouth, as he got 10th place. Are you talking Abu-moi? I did just fine, thank you. Aoyama says, knowing he failed horribly. In the cafeteria, do you ever have a feeling about something that makes you scared like a big thing is going to happen? I say, waiting at a table for my 4 cups of sliced fruit as I sit at the end of the table. Okay, so Aizu's stomach is a massive energy source that he has to keep in check. His endoskeleton would start shutting down, like if you don't eat for a few days, your body starts becoming weak. And with his large body, he needs more than a normal human just to get that out of the way. If you're talking about the practical, I don't think they would throw something big at us. Iida says, after a small silent prayer before they eat. Well, I can make it through a simple written exam. The physical exam just gives me a bad feeling. I say, do you really think it's going to be that simple? Urarika says, Pale BC, she got 13th place. I know, it's just I feel like in the physical exam, I'm going to be smashed into the ground. I say, a little over-exaggerating, but it's a comprehensive test of everything we learned. Haga says, as she got 16th place. Yep, and that's about all we could get Mr. Aizawa to tell us. Sue says, as she got 6th place. Okay, So then it'll cover combat, training, and rescue training. Oh, and basic training. Uraraka says, as 4 big cups of chopped fruit are set in front of me. Huh, you will need to be in physical shape too, not so much 4 dash. I say, as I get elbowed into my cups, spilling them everywhere. Oh, sorry. Your head's so big that it's hard to miss. Monoma from 1B says, before he notices the entire cafeteria went silent. What his head is dash. Monoma says, before noticing me slowly twist my head backwards, my white dotted eyes, now crimson red. I'm going to F-sharp king end you. I say, as I slowly get up and start walking up to him, but before I could get to him, an orange-haired girl karate chops his neck, making him go limp. Sorry about him, I would let you end him, but he doesn't exactly deserve it. Kendo from Class 1B says, as she holds it by the shirt, I sigh. Fine, but keep him far away from my dream dash. I say before getting tackled to the ground. Isa, please calm down. May says, as she holds me tight, not to move any further. Fine, I won't kill him. I say, as everyone in the cafeteria goes back to eating. I apologize for him. I'm pretty sure there's a hole where his heart should be. Kendo says, as I chuckle looking at his dangling body, I hear a small chuckle, as May finds it a little funny. So, I was listening. I know you're worried about what's going to be the final practical. And no, you're not going to be smashed into the ground. I heard it's going to be combat against robots, like the entrance exam. Kendo says, interesting. But how do you know? I say, as 4 extra cups of chopped fruit are set in front of me by a chef after seeing the incident. One of my friends who's a few grades up filled me in. I know, cheating, but oh well. Kendo says, I pour a cup of chopped fruit in my mouth. I still have a bad feeling. I say, as the feeling gets to me. What kind of idiot are you, dash? Monoma says before a device is put on his mouth by May as Monoma tries to speak, but not a sound comes out. Here, click this button, and it'll come off. May says, handing Kendo a remote. Thanks. Kendo says, as she drags Monoma away. She's like their class's big sister, huh? I say, before pouring another cup of chopped fruit into my mouth. In 1A classroom, all right. Mina and Cammy cheerfully say, this'll be super easy if it's just robots. Cammy says, relieved. Such awesome news. Mina says, happily. Why do you sound so happy? You both have a hard time controlling your quirks. Shoji says, through one of his tentacles. Yeah, but I can let loose with robots. Cammy says, happily. And melting them will be a cinch for me. Mina says, happily too. Now you just need Yayorozu to help you study, and you'll be all set for finals. Siro says, we'll definitely be able to go to the training camp now. Mina and Cammy cheer. I walk up behind them. Keep it down. I'm trying to sleep unless you want to go to sleep too. I say, as they turn silent. It doesn't matter if it's robots or actual people. Why are you morons so excited? Baku says, Cammy was about to speak, but quickly shut up as I stared at him. Hey, Cat, I won't let you beat me. And I saw the way you were moving. How do you know those moves? BC, it's seriously pissing me off. Baku says, glaring at me as I glare back. He must mean how Aizu was flying around like him the other day. Uraraka says, oh, yeah, but how does he know Bakugo's moves without seeing them himself? Mina says, I don't want to win by default like at the sports festival. We'll be getting individual scores in the upcoming finals. New rankings. So we'll all know exactly where we're standing. I'll show you how much better I am. Baku says angrily, we'll see, Baku. I say to myself, as Baku glares at me before walking out slamming the door. It's been a while since I've seen him that worked up. Kiri says, rubbing the back of his head. Think it's impatience. Or hatred. Toko says, Bakugo, you're getting worse than I thought. Aizawa thought to himself, standing outside the classroom with a clipboard watching Baku walk away. No POV at Momo's house. Wow, I knew her family had cash, but I didn't know she was this rich. Cammy says, they stare in disbelief as Momo's homeland stretches what feels like forever. Jiro rings the doorbell. I've been waiting for you, everyone. Please come in. Momo says from the doorbell speaker as the gates open. In the Great Hall, I could not feel any more out of place right now. Ojiro says, as they sit at a long table. Yeah, me too. Siro says, agreeing. As Momo comes in with tea. Is something wrong? Momo says, as her happiness radiates off her. No, everything's perfect, they all say. With the others, he is writing in his book, dipping his claw in some ink to draw. He is also lifting 2 10 weights with his tail, as Mei sleeps on his back after finishing one of her inventions. Uraraka half asleep, trying to study, Iida taking a jog while reading flashcards, Baku hitting Kiri in the head with a rolled notebook, trying to teach Kiri, Momo teaching the others as they write down what she is saying. Aizu POV class goes by normally until, all right, put your pencils down. The last person in each row, bring the answer sheets to me. Aizawa says, thanks so much for all your help. Mina cheers. I didn't leave anything blank at least. Cammy says, happily with a thumbs up. I smirk happy they were able to finish. Just like that, our 3 days of written exams were over. Now it was time for the practical. I narrate. At a building, I couldn't read it. It was in a different language. Now then, let's begin the last test. Remember, it's possible to fail this final. If you want to go to camp, then don't make any stupid mistakes. Aizawa says, as all the pro-hero teachers stand before us. Why are all the teachers here? Jiro asks, as I wonder the same thing. I smell someone, but I don't know where. I expect many of you have gathered information and believe you have some idea of what you'll be facing with. Aizawa says, my eyes widening why all the teachers are here. We're fighting those big, old metal robots. Kemi says, happily. Fireworks. Summer. Here we come, camp. Mina cheers. Actually, this year's tests, a voice in Aizawa's scarf says, as I know the voice, it will be completely different for various reasons. Principal Nizu says, as he pops out of Aizawa's scarf. Principal Nizu. Some of the class says, surprised by his sudden appearance. I should have seen this coming. I say, dragging my paw across my face. You're changing things. Momo says, confused. The tests now have a new focus. There will be hero work, of course, but also teach work and combat between actual people, Nizu says, climbing down from Aizawa. So what does that mean for you? Nizu says, as his personality turns serious. You students will be working together in pairs, and your opponent will be one of our esteemed UA teachers. Isn't that fabulous? Nizu says happily, surprising the students. We're fighting the teachers. Uraraka says, surprised. Additionally, your partners and your opponents have already been chosen. They were determined at my discretion based on various factors including fighting styles, grades, and interpersonal relationships. First, Yaoyorozu and Todoroki are a team. Against me, Aizawa says, smirking. Then we have Midoriya paired with Bakugo. Aizawa says, as me and Baku look at each other in surprise. And their opponent is, Aizawa says, as I finally know what that other heartbeat was from far before All Might lands in front of me and Baku. I am here to fight. AM says, we're up against All Might. Me and Baku said, as we were filled with anger and fear. You're going to have to work together, boys, if you want to win. AM says before chuckling. Nizu POV 2 nights ago in the UA meeting room. With the connection between the hero killer stain and the League of Villains, it's possible criminals everywhere will become much bolder. Nizu says, it'd be best if we could start preparing for that before it happens. As a school, we should be taking every precaution. If fights against villains are going to continue to intensity in the future, then having the kids train against robots ain't practical. Originally, we used them to avoid complaints about people getting injured in the entrance exams, but they're just not challenged enough. Pro Hero Snipe says, we can ignore the complaints. Let people say whatever they want. Aizawa says, this sounds like it could be problematic. Pro Hero Midnight says, I understand why you want to change the exam, but having students fight us, even if they're in teams of 2, is that a good idea? Pro Hero Cementos says, a little worried. Yeah, I think it's a bit unfair. Pro Hero 13 says, if we win too easily, we won't be able to give them actual grades, yo. Pro Hero Present Mike says, of course, we could take that into consideration and give the students an advantage. Snipe says, Principal, what are you thinking? Aizawa says, getting my attention. I believe I agree. We need to change the practical exam to reflect the current times. How do we ensure the students aren't put in threatening situations? The answer is simple. We must push them. We make sure that they're as strong as possible. I say, wanting them to be able to take on any villain. That makes sense. Midnight says, I agree. 13 says, right, then let's talk about the teams. First, Todoroki. He's doing quite well, generally speaking, but relies too much on brute force. And Yaoyorozu is an all-arounder, but lacks the ability to make spur-of-the-moment decisions and apply them. Therefore, I'll erase their quirks and take advantage of their weaknesses. Aizawa says, as everyone agrees. Next, for Ori and Bakugo, I'm leaving them to you, All Might. Aizawa says, surprising AM. In this case, I didn't pair the two of them up based on ability or class work. I went with how they see and feel about you. Ori dislikes you a lot, while Bakugo sees you as a goal to beat, but they'd rather never work together. Make sure they at least learn something. Aizawa says, back to the present, you're paying close attention, huh, Aizawa. AM thought to himself. And now, let's announce the teams and the teachers they'll be fighting in order. Nizu says, happily. 1 Sato and Kirishima versus Pro Hero Cementos. 2 Tsuyu and Tokoyami versus Ectoplasm. 3 Iida and Ojiro versus Power Loader. 4 Todoroki and Momo versus Eraserhead. 5 Uraraka and Aoyama versus 13 6 Mina and Kaminari versus Principal Nizu. 7 Koda and Jiro versus Present Mike. 8 Shoji and Hagakure versus Snipe. 9 Zero and Mineta versus Midnight. 10 Bakugo and Aizu versus All Might. I walk over to Power Loader. Hey, Power Loader, should you really leave May unsupervised? I say, nervously as I imagine the school exploding. Don't worry, she's actually in the camera room working, and any possible damage that would happen to your endoskeleton. PL says, as I nod with a sigh of relief before walking back over to the group. To complete the exam, you'll have 30 minutes. In order to win, your objective is to put these HNDCFFS on your teacher. Or you can win if one of you manages to escape from the combat stage. Nizu says enthusiastically. So we're either got to capture the teacher or run away dash. Kami says, what do you think he meant? I say, interrupting him. Let me finish. What I was trying to say was that it's basically like combat training. Kami says, yeah, but is it really okay to just jet? Mina asks, yup. Nizu says, giving a thumbs up with his little paws. It's going to be much different than that combat training y'all went through. After all, you're up against people way better than you. PM says, making a lot of different hand movements. Wait, really? Wait, aren't you just the announcer? Jiro says, confused as Koda tried to stop her. Hey, watch your mouth, girl. Have some respect. PM says, annoyed at Jiro comment. This time, your exam will be very similar to a real battle. As strange as it is, please think of us as villains. 13 says, assuming you come across your enemy. If you think you can win against them, then fight. However, Snipe says, in instances where you're outmatched, it would be smarter to run away and find help. Todoroki, Iida, Ori, I'm sure the three of you understand. Aizawa says, idiots. The hero killer is only after me and that kid in the white armor. Stop fighting back. Get out of here. Native words go through their minds. I won't make that mistake again. I will pass this test and prove that I'm a hero. Iida thought / says, don't know which one, so we fight to whine or run to win. I say seriously, that's right. It's a test of your decision-making skills. But with these rules, you're probably thinking your only real choice is to flee. That's why the support course made these super clever accessories for us. AM says, reaching into his pocket before pulling out a wrist weight. Behold, ultra-compressed weights. PM says, these babies will add about half our body weight to our physiques. It's not much, but they will eat up our stamina and make it harder for us to move around. Oh shoot. AM says, as his arms drag down by the weight sum. These are heavier than I thought. We had a contest to come up with these designs, and young, AM says, getting cut off mid-sentence. And that someone would have been my girlfriend, May, who won the contest. I say, how did? AM says, I saw her making them. I say, as AM looks at me surprised on how he practically knows everything she works on. You think we need a handicap to win against you? Well, think again. Baku says, making AM laugh. This'll be fun. AM says with a serious face. I guess the feeling was right. We will be pummeled into the ground. I thought to myself, let's begin. The teams will take the exam in the order you were called. We have a stage prepared. Sato, Kirishima. You're up. Aizawa says. Yes, sir, they both say. Those waiting their turn to fight can either watch the exams or try to strategize together as a team. It's your choice. That's all. Aizawa says, as he and the other pros watch inside. Ojiro, I'd like to discuss how we might be able to coordinate the use of our quirks. Iida says, great. Ojiro agrees. Tokoyami, let's go come up with a plan. Tsu says, as Toko agrees. May POV in the camera room. Well, looks like I have my work cut out for me today. Recovery Girl says, sitting at the cameras, as Aizu lay next to me as I work on my invention. Hey Aizu, aren't you going to watch too? Uraraka asks. He's asleep. Aizu is a deep sleeper. You would need to slap him across the head. There's a chance he might wake up, but he told me all the ways who would win or lose. He also says Baku has always worked alone. There's no strategy planning for these two. I say, petting his head, I can see that. And, my partner is a little preoccupied with himself. But I have a question about what Aizen normally is like outside of school. Uraraka says, really interested. The funny thing is he's not that different, but he does have a soft spot for people he trusts, especially me. I say with a small chuckle, making Uraraka even more curious before Kirishima POV at the exam area, Team Sato and Kirishima. Practical exam. Ready. Go. The announcer says, as me and Sato run through the area. So what do you think? We'll get a higher score for capturing instead of running. You agree? I ask as we run through the area. Yeah, that'll make sense. Sato says before a large stone wall comes out of the ground, making us jump back. We then notice Komentas not too far from us, his hand on the ground, ready to attack. Mr. Komentas can't move around very fast, I say, as Sato reaches into his belt. Let's break through from the front and shoot for a high score. I say, hardening my body. Ah yeah. Sato says, pouring sugar into his mouth as his body starts slowly bulking up. Rikido Sato. His quirk, Sugar Rush. For every 10 grams of Suga, he's 5 times as strong for 3 minutes. However, the more sugar he uses for power, the more his cognitive functions suffer. Mei says, holding one of Aizu's notebooks that she took out of his chest cavity, which surprises Uraraka that Aizu has such knowledge of the class. Me and Sato charge at Komentas. So you're deciding on a direct frontal assault. Komentas says, as he creates a ton of walls in front of him. This is at Sato. I yell, reeling back my fist. Let's go. Sato says, as they both punch one of the walls, creating a crater in it. We then both reel back our fists and punch again, destroying the wall. We start sending a barrage of punches charging through all the walls. But the problem is how long will they last? But Mr. Komentas doesn't have a limit. Mei says, with a smirk looking up from her invention. Not so fast, kids. Komentas says, not moving from his spot. Man, this is never ending. No matter how many walls we break, he keeps making more of them. I yell, punching through several walls. I'm tired, I'm so sleepy, Sato says, his body weakening. Not now. I yell, as the walls start forming into a dome. Just a little nap, Sato says. I'm running out of steam. I say, hurting my fist after punching a wall before the ground below us is manipulated and wraps around us. You're both weak when it comes to long-term battles. Listen well. When your life's on the line, you need to know exactly how far you can push your powers. Komentas says as the buzzer goes off. Sato and Kirishima have been knocked out. Exam is over. The announcer says, with the others. Seriously, that fast? Kemi says surprised. Kirishima went down. Tsu says, in the camera room, it's only the first match, and I'm already needed. Recovery Girl says, getting out of her chair, and walks out. No way was that one-sided. Uraraka says, this is what happens when you brute force through someone who can control everything in the area. Mei says, screwing in something on her invention. Tokoyami POV with Tokoyami and Tsu, I see. They're starting us in the middle of the stage. I say, as we stand at the base of a large tower. In order to escape, we have to pass through the designated gate, right? Which means the teachers probably they're waiting for us. Tsu says, before a buzzer goes off starting the second test. Team Azui and Tokoyami. Practical exam. Ready. Go. The announcer says, before several clones of her ectoplasms appear. Maybe you didn't understand, but we teachers are trying to crush you with everything we got. No holding back. Ectoplasm says, as we try to back up, but more ectoplasm clones appear behind us. Steel your nerves and show me your resolve. Ectoplasm says before they all charge at us. Tokoyami POV recap. Team Azui and Tokoyami. Practical exam. Ready. Go. The announcer says before several clones of hero ectoplasms appear. Maybe you didn't understand, but we teachers are trying to crush you with everything we got. No holding back. Ectoplasm says, as we try to back up, but more ectoplasm clones appear behind us. Steel your nerves and show me your resolve. Ectoplasm says, beg they all charge at us. End of recap. Steel your nerves and show me your resolve. Ectoplasm says before they all charge at us. Get her. Dark Shadow. I yell before Dark Shadow comes out of my back and grabs Tsu, tossing her up. Azui, your turn. I yell as ectoplasm clones look up at Tsu. Got you, Tokoyami. Tsu says before shooting her tongue, wrapping around me as she lifts me up to a higher level. I'm glad we made a plan beforehand. Tsu says, yes, I agree. In the monitor room, nice. Uraraka cheers. These are very compatible as they have a better chance at making it unlike the other two. Mei says, working on an invention. You're correct, young one. The fact is, they're talking to each other. It may not seem like much, but it's important. I don't just mean having a sidekick or teammate that you know you match well with. Real heroes need to be able to communicate with anyone. Recovery Girl says, coming up the stairs and sitting down in her chair. Back with Toko and Tsu, so you've chosen to avoid a fight. Good luck. Ectoplasm says, impressed by their choice. Ectoplasm. His quirk. Clone. He shoots weird ectoplasm from his mouth and turns it into copies of himself. He's able to produce 30 at one time. Though, apparently after about his second or third song at karaoke, that number goes up to 36. PM narrates. Ectoplasm spawns more clones in front of us. Now, Dark Shadow says, taking out the clones in front of us, 2 clones spawn behind me. Gotcha, Tsu says, knocking a clone away from me with her tongue. Thanks, I say, as DS smashes the other clone into the ground as they disappear. 2 other clones charge at us. Dark Shadow, I say, as DS charges at them, but the clone dodges. Tsu grabs me with her flinging me into the air onto the next floor. There's no end to them. Tsu says, as we land next to an entrance. Let's keep moving. I say, before several clones block our path again. In a monitor room, one problem with Tokoyami. Tokoyami is quick and can attack from afar, allowing him to keep his distance. These are all strengths. But, looking at that another way, it means he's weak at close range. RG says, wow. I never thought about his powers like that. Uraraka says, on the other hand, there's Azui, a stellar student with no clear weaknesses. She can provide support to her ally, as powerful as he may be. But she's important in another way, too. Her level-headedness and ability to provide support are the key to them passing. RG says, back with Tsu and Toko, that was clone number 28. I say, as we finish off the last clone. Tokoyami, look. It's the goal, which means that's probably his real body down there. Tsu says, as we look down to see the real ectoplasm standing at the goal. Excellent job getting past the others. But tell me, what will you do against this? Ectoplasm says, as she shoots a ton of ectoplasm, as a giant clone forms to the height of the 3rd floor where me and Tsu are standing. Just try to escape. Giant bite detention. Ectoplasm says, I can't put out more clones now, but as long as I have you captured, this one is all I need. Ectoplasm thought to himself as the giant clone went to attack. Azui, look out. I yell as the giant clone attacks, attaching us in his giant clone's body. Only I can get rid of this behemoth. So what is your plan? Ectoplasm asks. This quirk is way too powerful. I say, as Dark Shadow comes out. Hey, so am I. DS says, a little offended. Dark Shadow, you just have to get through that gate. I say, I'm on it. DS says, going to attack Ectoplasm, but he kicks DS away. Damn it, DS says, as he gets beat up by Ectoplasm. With Toko and Tsu, I don't think he has a chance against a pro. I say, as DS attacks Ectoplasm. Well, if he can reach him, we do have a chance. Call Dark Shadow back. I have something to give him. Tsu says, confusing me. Azui, what do you mean? I ask. Please don't watch me. Mr. Ectoplasm will notice. And besides, it's Tsu says as she starts gagging. Really gross to see me do this. Tsu says, will you keep this up until time runs out, little bird? What I want to see is a student who can do away with an adversary, no matter what. Ectoplasm says, beating the hell out of DS. Dark Shadow. I yell, as DS comes back and grabs something from Tsu's hand. Calm down. We got this. Tsu says as DS charges back in. Because Tokoyami and Dark Shadow are heroes. Tsu says as DS goes to punch Ectoplasm. Ectoplasm kicks DS away. I figured this was the only way we could win if he managed to capture us somehow. So I swallow the cuffs. My quirk lets me take things in and out of my stomach. Tsu says, how unexpected. Ectoplasm says, as his leg has been cuffed. In the monitor room, whoa, they leg cuffed him. Uraraka says, surprised. Oh, that could be useful for you, Iida May says. Not happening. Iida says, back with Toko and Tsu, Team Azui and Tokoyami have passed the final. The announcer says, as Ectoplasm walks up to me and Tsu. That was wonderfully clever. I must commend you both. Ectoplasm says, happily. I'm truly humbled, sir. I say, bowing my head a little, as Tsu rib bits happily. It was all thanks to me. DS says, coming out with a thumbs up. With the other students, so Tokoyami and Azui passed their exam. I'm not surprised. Momo says, remembering her failure at the sports festival. Iida POV with me and Ojiro at a construction site as the ground slowly gets destroyed. We're running out of places to stand. Mr. Power Loader can do this. Iida says, surprised. Apparently. What now? Ojiro asks. The topography gives our opponent the advantage. In order to keep injuries to a minimum and defeat him, I think our best choice right now is to go and find a hero who is better suited to take him on. I say, so, in other words, we should run. One thing, Ojiro says, before flicking at Rock with his tail, as it lands the ground caves in. There are traps between us and the gate. Not to mention we have no idea where Mr. Power Loader will attack next. Ojiro says, we can still make it, as long as we work together. I say, right. Ojiro says, fusion. I say, as Ojiro wraps his legs around my waist and hangs on my back. I can only imagine how stupid we look right now, and I bet May is laughing her butt off. Ojiro says, a little embarrassed. In the monitor room, ha ha ha. May laughs hysterically, as Izu kisses her while also using sleep gas to put her to sleep before she can pass out from a lack of air. Back with Iida and Ojiro. Here we go. Ojiro. Reciproburst. I say, as the engines in my legs propel me forward, running past the traps that collapse the ground. We're outrunning the traps he set. If we keep this up, Ojiro thought to himself, before Power Loader comes out of the ground. Not so fast. PL laughs, before collapsing the path ahead. We're gonna fall. Ojiro panics. Find a best solution, Tenya. Come on. I thought to myself before jumping up. Quick, wrap your tail around my leg. I say, as Ojiro lets go and wraps his tail around my leg before I use my other leg to spin us like a sideways Beyblade. Recipro extend. I yell, beg flinging Ojiro towards the exit. I've got you. PL says, coming out from the ground to grab Ojiro, but Ojiro slaps his tail on PL head, knocking him away. In the monitor room, Izu whines before looking at his sleeping girlfriend. Lucky she didn't see that. Back with Ojiro and Iida, Ojiro manages to get past the goal. Team Iida and Ojiro have passed the final. Announcer says, Nice one, man. Ojiro says, looking back to me. Huh, it was kind of a risky move, but it put a quick end to the match. And you managed to get your friend out of the ring without getting yourself injured. All in all, not bad. You pass. Congrats. PL says. Thank you very much. I say. Aizu POV in the monitor room. They're both amazing. Urarka says happily as I smirks. I promise I will strive to be the perfect hero. Those words go through my head. You did well, idiot. I thought to myself. Also, I'm completely stuck. Iida says, with only his head above ground, as I sigh. But the next one worries me. I said to myself, Momo POV in a makeshift neighborhood. It's our turn now. Let's go. Yaoyorozu. Todoroki says, snapping me out of my thoughts. What's wrong? Are you nervous? To-do asks. Oh, no. I say, it's okay. With our opponent, I don't blame you. But I have a plan in mind for us. To-do says, I try to say something, but I get interrupted by a horn. Team Todoroki and Yaoyorozu. Practical exam. Ready, go. The announcer says, as me and To-do run through the makeshift neighborhood alley. Yaoyorozu. Listen, I want you to keep making small objects. When you stop being able to, it means Mr. Aizawa is close by. To-do says, and I'm back. That's class 1. A's homeroom teacher, Shota Aizawa. He can erase the quirks of whoever he sees, but the effect ends when he blinks. PM says as Aizawa stands on the tip of the pole, probably watch us right now. Our success will depend on which one of us finds the other first. To-do says, as we peek out of an alley. Once we spot him, I'll draw him to me. Then you can run to the escape gate and win this thing for us. Just stay close to me until then. Come on, hurry up and start making things. To-do says, sure, no problem. I say nervously. As we run through the town, I create small Roo dolls that look like me. I guess those work okay, but what are they? To-do says, stopping to look at me. Oh, these things. They're just Russian nesting dolls. I say, putting some of the dolls on my waist strap. Right. Let me know if you notice your quirk acting strangely at all. To-do says before running off as I follow. I'd expect nothing less from you, Todoroki. I say, what? To-do says, confused. You were able to come up with a plan to use against Mr. Aizawa so quickly. You know exactly what was best as soon as we started. I say, this is nothing. To-do says as I stop. No, you're wrong. As a student who got into UA through recommendation, we started from the same place. But in terms of the practical skills that a hero needs, I haven't really managed to do anything that stands out. During the cavalry battle, I just followed your orders. And then when it was my turn to fight, I failed before I could do anything. I say, unsure of myself. Yaoyorozu, you're not making those dolls. To-do notices. He's coming. To-do yells. I'm sorry. I yell, in apology. If you know I'm here, then you should be acting. Aizawa says, hanging from some power lines with a scarf. I would suggest that you prioritize evasion since I've taken your power from you. Aizawa says, letting go of his scarf, dropping to the ground. Yaoyorozu, go. To-do says, going to kick Aizawa, but he dodges and I start running. Is that what your plan is? Aizawa says before swiftly tying up To-do, hanging him above the ground. Then this will be simple. I was always going to catch you first since your team's offense. Aizawa says, as he starts tying the other end of his scarf to a pole, keeping To-do hanging. You think you've caught me? This is nothing. I can burn or freeze these restraints in an instant. To-do says, do whatever you want. Just be careful where you land. Aizawa says, before throwing small caltrops under where To-do hangs. In the monitor room, really Aizawa caltrops, recovery girl, can you even heal small holes in the body? Aizu asks. Kinda will leave small marks. RG says, back with To-do and Aizawa caltrops. This is your strategy. Are you pretending to be some kind of ninja? To-do says, this is very different from when you face the hero killer. I know about your quirks and what you can do. I'm perfectly prepared to defeat you both. Aizawa says, as he puts eye drops in his eyes. Your plan places most of the burden on yourself. It's nice you try to be considerate to the girl, but maybe you should have actually talked this over with her. Aizawa says before dashing off. Talk it over. To-do thought to himself. I breathe, running towards the direction of the gates. How much farther to the gate? Is there a shorter route I should take? Is Todoroki okay? Is this right? Should I take the time and make something to help me go faster? Can I make it? Will I be able to pass this way? Wait, where am I running to? Can I do this? Or am I going to fail us? I thought to myself, scared if I can make it. She obviously lost her confidence after the sports festival. Aizawa thought to himself, swinging towards me. Mr. Aizawa, does that mean Todoroki has been? I thought to myself, even more scared, but then the speaker turned on. Momo, I know I'm not supposed to say this at this moment. Aizu says on the speaker. Aizu, I say, problem child. Aizawa thought to himself as he wrapped my arm with his scarf. Think, Momo, what's the best thing to do in this situation? Grab some confidence and think about what you need to do. Aizu says, before the speaker turns off. Even with problem child speech, I'm still going to hit you where it hurts. Let's see which one of us is stronger. Aizawa says, tugging on my scarf that's wrapped around my arm. I don't have a chance against my own teacher. What? My quirk's not erased. Creation. I thought to myself, as I created a weight under Aizawa's scarf, letting me slip my arm out. Thanks, Aizu. I thought to myself, before turning around and running back. Changing direction. Problem child, what did you do during that speech? But as I see, she let him make all the decisions. Comparing herself to Todoroki, she decided that he was the superior student. For better or for worse, he never seems to hesitate much. And she's lost her ability to trust in her own instincts and reactions. Emotionally, she's still a child of 15. I like to help her regain her confidence, but problem child's already doing that. Aizawa thought to himself before running after me. Todoroki POV as I hang from the lamppost, I think of what Aizawa said. Maybe you should have actually talked this over with her. Those words go through my head. Now that I think about it, she had something to say. I thought to myself, Todoroki, Todoroki, Momo says, running up to me. Yaoyorozu. I say, surprised that she came back. In the monitor room, well, this feels like a love story waiting to happen. Aizu says, as Mei is still asleep on the side of my fluffy chest, Uraraka blushes happily at this. Back with Tadu and Momo. I'm sorry I came back. I couldn't, Momo apologized. Hey, watch it. Mr. Aizawa's coming. I yell, worried while Aizawa closes and running out the wires. Should I save Todoroki? Or run? What's the right answer? What should I do? Momo thought in a panic. In the monitor room, come on, you got this. Aiza thought, worried that she's getting stressed. Back with Tadu and Momo, Yaoyorozu. You've got a plan, don't you? Sorry, I should have asked before and not told you what to do. But you have an idea, right? I say, your plan didn't work, so there's no way mine will be any good. We're both going to fail. Momo says, really worried. Remember what Aiza said. Think about what you want to do, not all the possibilities. Now spit it out already. I'm saying that you're the one who's better at this kind of stuff, not me. When we were voting for class rep, you had 2 votes, remember. One of those votes was mine, because I thought you would be best at leading our class. I say with confidence. I'm pathetic, but maybe Momo thought before Aizawa jumped over Momo. Giving up. Aizawa said, not yet. Todoroki, close your eyes. Momo yells before throwing the Russian nesting doll she had on her waist up towards Aizawa. What are these? Aizawa says, swatting at one, but as it opens, a flash grenade is inside as the pin is pulled as it opens as it sets off, blinding Aizawa. Flash grenade. Aizawa says, trying to cover his eyes. You're right. I have an idea. A plan for us to win. Momo says, lower me down. This final exam isn't over. We can still beat Mr. Aizawa. Momo says, as Aizawa looks at us with a smirk. Aizu POV in the monitor room. He seems to be enjoying this. I say, with a sweat going down the side of my head, knowing that I barely saw him fight, besides the face that my endoskeleton shuts down when he uses his quirk. I'm lucky that I didn't have to fight him. Momo POV, so you've got a strategy. Tadu says, in a fighting stance. Yes, I've been thinking about it from the beginning. His weakness. I say, as some confidence floods in me. All right, just tell me what to do. Tadu says before Aizawa jumps away. As a result of my injuries, I can't use my quirk for as long, and I have to rest more in between erasures. If she chose her attack because she noticed that, she's pretty smart, Aizawa says, before throwing his scarf at us. Yayorozu. Tadu yells as we jump back. Fire. CRP. He erased it. Tadu thought to himself, trying to shoot fire. Todoroki. We have to hide. Together. I say, as we start running. Since he was injured, his quirk has become unstable. I say, as Aizawa follows up on the power line. Because of what happened at the USJ. So, we're going to exploit that. Tadu says, slowly understanding my plan. Not yet. For now, we just need to get out of his field of vision. It's all a matter of timing. We're going to pass this final. I say, timing. How is getting out of his sight going to help us with that? He can still take our quirks whenever he sees us. Tadu asks, just do as I tell you. Keep checking to see if you can use your ice power, okay? I say, not fast enough, kids. Aizawa says, as he throws his scarf at us. He's wrong to think he'll be able to keep our powers erased the whole time. There will definitely be a single moment, a brief interval, when Mr. Aizawa blinks before he can use his quirk again. I thought to myself, as Aizawa blinks, causing Tadu to be able to use his quirk. This is it, Tadu says, as he starts using his ice power. And I'll be counting on you to attack, like you did at the sports festival. A giant ice wall. I thought, as Tadu makes a ginormous ice wall, stopping Aizawa. Todoroki's biggest move. They were waiting for this. Aizawa says, smirking. They took advantage of their opponent. Hit me where it hurts. Aizawa thought. Aizu POV in the monitor room. Good, they're separated. I thought, as Mei and Uraraka are asleep, as I'm in cat loaf mode. Tadu POV back with Tadu and Momo. I block him with a wall the moment my quirk came back. We can use our powers again. So, can you tell me the rest of the plan now? I say, as I use my fire to melt the ice on my body. I turn to see Momo holding open her hero costume as she creates a scarf that resembles Aizawa's. Is that Aizawa's scarf you're making? I say, turning away, try not to look. Aizu POV in the monitor room, I look away blushing. Why is the camera at this angle? I say, Momo POV with Momo, and Tadu, it is. I don't know the material it's made of or precisely how it's constructed, so it's not exactly the same. But I created my own version with a special material woven into it. Since this is a residential area, we must keep collateral damage to a minimum. And he moves his own restaining bonds so quickly. It makes it difficult to catch him. So, you see, here's my plan. I say, finishing creating the scarf. In the monitor room, he's no. Going after them. Did he overuse his quirk? Aizu says to himself. A minute or two later with Tadu and Momo. What do you think, Todoroki? I believe this has the highest chance of success. Or, at least, it's better than trying to run. I say, sighing as she stands in front of a catapult with a makeshift scarf on it. We'll only get one chance. So is this all right with you? I say, turning to him. Yeah, no complaints here. Tadu says. In the monitor room. He stands no chance if this goes well. I trust Momo's plan fully even if I'm not there. Aizu says, before hearing snoring on my side, as Mei lays on my stomach using me like a pillow. I think I gave her too much sleep gas. Aizu says, as I hear Uraraka chuckle, I blush some. With Aizawa, the escape gate is behind me. It'll be better to watch the approach from here than to try and chase them. Aizawa says, standing on a post. I have a plan for us to win. We can still beat Mr. Aizawa. Aizawa remembers my words. Let's see it. Aizawa says, before he sees two cloaks running down the street. Disguises. I can't use my quirk if I can't see them. But they're at a disadvantage, too. Aizawa says, throwing his scarf at us, wrapping his scarf around two heads, but the heads are fake. The upper halves were just mannequins. Aizawa says, surprised. Now I just have to launch it. I thought, but I missed the handle. A catapult. Aizawa thought before jumping away, but I launched the scarf at him while he's in the air. It's a diversion. Aizawa says. Todoroki, bladder your flames now. I yell, as Todoroki throws his flames. In the monitor room, yes. Use your fire to the best. I thought, happy that he's using his fire. Back with them, he's not aiming for me. Why not? Aizawa thought, before the makeshift scarves harden. I'm not sure we have a chance of beating you in a full battle, Mr. Aizawa, but that's okay. Nitinol alloy. Have you heard of it? I ask as all the makeshift scarf starts hardening around Aizawa. When heated, it returns to its original shape in an instant. I say, as the makeshift scarf hardens around Aizawa, wrapped around him tight. It's a metal with shape memory. I say, well, isn't that impressive? Aizawa says. In the monitor room, Aizu smirks. I'm proud of you, Todoroki. You are possibly growing faster than me. Aizu thought. Back with them, it went exactly according to your plan. It was almost a little too smooth. Todoroki says, impressed. Honestly, it shouldn't have worked out. When I was about to trigger the catapult, I made a big mistake. Mr. Aizawa noticed, but still jumped away, even though he could have stopped me easily. I think he allowed himself to be captured by my plan on purpose. I say, I was just trying to see what Todoroki would do. You were in my sight, but he still had a cloth over him, remember? I thought he'd try to freeze me, so I decided it would be best for me to back off. In doing so, it looks like I ended up playing right into your hands. Aizawa says, it really was just a matter of timing, like you said, huh? Thanks, teammate. Todoroki says before I start tearing up. What's wrong? Do you feel sick? Todoroki says, confused. No, it's nothing, really. I say, coving high mouth, try not to cry. If you feel nauseous, there's a pressure point, Todoroki says. Todoroki, that's enough. Aizu says on the speaker. And Aizu, you're getting a day of detention for using the speaker. Aizawa says to Aizu. S.H.T. Aizu says, before turning off the speaker. Before the buzzer goes off. Team Todoroki and Yaoyorozu have passed the final exam. The announcer says, thank you for joining us on this journey through What If Deku Had CatNap Quirk. We hope you found it as captivating as we did. A big thank you to Dog Day 2006 for creating such an engaging story. Don't forget to visit their profile on Wattpad for more fantastic works. The link is in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Zenin Fanfics for more intriguing explorations into fanfiction and fantasy. Your support helps us create more content like this, and we love hearing your thoughts and suggestions in the comment section. See you soon in the next video.